Well, good evening, beautiful people, and welcome to another segment of Success in Motion, where we discuss topics that will inspire, empower, and promote to catapult you to the next level in your life. I thank each and every one of you for joining this conference on today, this meeting, whether it's by virtually or whether it is by audio, or if you are watching the replay of this. I thank you so very much because you could be doing anything else, but you decided to take out the time to join us this evening. So I won't be before you all long. We've been on a series, a 10-part series of the effective process of becoming an effective leader. And we've had different guests on the show. We've talked about different various topics, regarding leadership, as well as re-entering the workforce post COVID-19, team building, and just things of that nature. I didn't necessarily have a particular topic for today, but yet still wanted to stay in the same message of leadership. And so I thought today that we would kind of freestyle it a little bit, meaning there's no script, there's nothing that's written down, giving whoever would like to participate the opportunity to be able to do so. And if not, we'll just keep on trekking. We'll just keep on pushing because we are success in motion, right? So one of the things that came to my mind today was in regards to our youth, whether it's the children, young children, our preteens, teens, our young adults, whatever category, our youth fall or children fall into. And I wanted to talk about us as leaders and how children or young adults see us. For those, it doesn't matter whether you're a parent or not. If you have a young person or young people in your life, you are mentoring them, or you're an aunt, an uncle, you are a grandparent, a great grandparent, or whatever your position is, a teacher, an administrator, whatever your place is in a young person's life. And I think that it's very, very important for us as adults to make sure that we are being mindful of the things that we say and the things that we do, because they are watching us. They're really watching us. And I know that when I was a young girl, I would hear people say, and not necessarily my parents or the people that were in my life, but I would hear, do as I say, not as I do. But a lot of times, children, or I would say myself, the things that I saw is what I heard, if you would, if you understand me. So, it may not necessarily have been something that someone said, but it was the way that people were presented, and that's what I heard and that's what I saw. And so those things stuck out most to me, more so than things that people would say to a certain degree, okay? So as we are, as we have the privilege of being able to lead our young people, what is it that we are showing them? What is it that we are saying to them? What is it that they are hearing from us? I'm not staying in the the vein of everything that's going on with COVID-19 and these killings of African Americans and things of that nature. I'm speaking in general overall. We have to make sure that if we are saying that we are going to do something, that we do it. We have to be positive role models or examples of who we would like for our children or the young people to aspire to become. We always say that, we want them to be a doctor. We want them to be a lawyer. We want them to be a police officer. We want them to be a dentist. We want them to be a teacher. We want them to be, all these things that we want them to be. But do we take into consideration their character? Do we take into consideration their personalities? Do we take into consideration their own desires? A lot of times we don't. We want to place our desires on our young people. And it's not all bad as long as it is coming from a loving place. I'll say that, because if it's coming from a loving place, you don't want to steer them wrong. But if it's coming from a place of dishonesty and lack of trust and things of that nature, then how can we expect our youth or our young adults to really desire to become a model citizen in our world? We don't want them to only be model citizens in the community in which they live. We also want them to be model citizens internationally, in another country, in another state, in another city, in another town, wherever it is that they go, whether they're flying on an airplane, whether they are on a boat, a ship, whether they're just taking a voyage on the sea, whatever the case may be, we need to make sure that we are being positive examples to our young people. And, sometimes our youth, they can be really, really harsh, because as we know, thinking back of when we were younger, and I would say the rebellious ways that we had, the disobedient, actions or personality that we may have, we didn't want to do a certain thing, or, we didn't like a certain thing, but, it was us learning about who we are, but yet having to make sure that we are respectful and honorable, and that we take into consideration what is being said to us and what's being shown. So as we grow, our characters are put to the test. I know that there were some things that were in the news in regards to, adult behavior. And, when these things are being displayed on television, on social media, in our music and entertainment, even in politics, even in, legislature, governments, just all these different platforms that we as adults, if it's in school and education, and that, I know I started to say one thing, but I'm going into education right now because I think that's the direction that I need to go in right now. But even in education, when we decide to become educators or become a part of the educational system, I'll use that term, system, to me, you are making a vow to those that you want to reach, those whose lives you want to help to mold, those lives that you want to push forth. I had the privilege and opportunity to be able to uh, work in an urban school district, and I found it very saddening and very disturbing, and it really touched my heart because I got my start in a suburban school district. And when, I'm thinking, okay, well, here I'm going to go into this urban school district, and, this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to go in and just do my thing. Um, but that wasn't the case initially. My thoughts were definitely how what I'm bringing to give to them is going to make a positive influence in their lives. But and that did occur, but what I saw when I first went in were so many barriers that needed to be broken down before I could even go in to do my part, to help to uplift them, to help to rebuild them if necessary, to help to bring them up out of the turmoil and the atmosphere in which they were in. And some of the adults, their attitudes towards these young people was appalling. It just literally, I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I don't recall, hearing any teacher cuss at a child or anything, but there were some teachers who were like getting back at the children. And these were young children. They were in middle school, and it was just really, really interesting to hear how they were being spoken to. And there was one teacher, and I actually was defending her. I was speaking up on her behalf and telling the children how they needed to be respectful to her and how they needed to listen to her. And I was an outsider, coming in, and how embarrassing it was, for her, because these are her students, and they were just kind of like, they were being disrespectful. So I was defending the teacher, but I think she took that as an open door to then start attacking the children. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You're attacking the babies. I'm helping you. I didn't say this, but this was on my mind. And one young boy in particular, she went into him and said that he wasn't going to be something. I was like, whoa. I did not have an opportunity to speak fast enough, but it all worked out because he spoke up for himself, and he said, I'm not that, whatever it was. And I felt so relieved because I was shocked, because of course I am trying to defend the teacher, but, she went and started harping on the children, and then the one student in particular, and I'm like trying to get my bearings together and get my thoughts together so that I could kind of correct, and apologize if I were wrong. But he spoke up for himself, and I'm so glad that he did, because people don't understand the power of our words. Our words hold so much weight. I was reading an article yesterday, and someone made a comment, a grown person made a comment. They said, yeah, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And I remember hearing that as a child, in elementary school and things of that nature, And, I'm like, man, words do hurt. Because if somebody says you're stupid, or you're ugly, you don't matter, or just whatever it is that's negative, some people may take it, oh, okay, well, maybe they have tougher skin than most, but I took people at their word, and that was really hurtful. So we have to understand that the things that we're saying to our young people We can't react to things. We can't go based on our emotions, and we can't attack them based on how they're responding to us, because a lot of times these children that we are encountering have encountered so much at home, outside of home, in their community, and we wonder why some people join gangs, they join certain groups and things of that nature, because they're looking to be accepted. They're looking to get the attention that they're not receiving. And our youth, our children, our school-age children, they spend a lot of time at school. The majority of the hours of the day, they're at home. They're at school, except for the weekend. And, it is our responsibility that if we have the privilege of being able to take care of these babies while they're in our care, that's what we need to do. So I'm going to open up the floor right now, because I feel the anointing. And I feel a preach coming. But I'm going to take a moment and allow someone else to speak in regards to what I just shared. And you can just chime in whenever you get ready.
Good evening, Nicole. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Again, this is
Good.
Robert. I'm thankful to have the opportunity to join. Everything that I heard you just say, I sum it up in two phrases. Everybody needs love. And especially in the field of education, we are charged as educators, whether we're the bus driver, custodian, cafeteria worker, secretary, ancillary staff, whoever we are in the school. Our responsibility is to love on the kids as they walk by. Some of my favorite stories actually come from the janitors who talk about the kid that they notice walking down the hall every day at the same time with a certain look on their face. And the one time the janitor or custodian decides to speak up, "Hey, what's your name?" All of a sudden the kid gets excited because not the teacher, not the principal, not the teacher's aide or a parapro, not the librarian, but the custodian noticed me. And oftentimes, the custodians in our schools have amazing stories. And most people look at them with a negative thought, as in, oh, they don't have their life together, they're not doing this or they're not doing that. No, custodians oftentimes come from a very amazing background. And the way that they pour into the students is rich and amazing. And it is the epitome of love. You said you heard a preach coming on. And every time I think about it, I think about, as a believer myself, how Christ loved on us, how he loves on us. When we're wrong, when we're right, when we have no clue, somebody comes and just nudges us in the right way. And the other thing you talked about was, I forget what the other thing was, but you talked about just noticing and paying attention to the kid. And that's huge to me personally as an educator, as a coach, as a leader, is to be a loving leader, to listen and to understand. There's nothing like being a leader who leads with their heart. It's not selfish. It's not all about me. It's a bigger purpose than me. Whatever that may be, and it allows me to see everybody's mistakes as just that, a mistake. So as leaders, in whatever capacity, in the business world, in the educational realm, public or private sector, when we remember to be human and we give human back to humanity, all of a sudden compassion shows and everybody wins and thrives. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So compassion is so necessary. I believe that I know that the Lord has given me a heart of compassion. And it's so funny because I'm a twin. For those of you who do not know, I'm a twin, and I'm the second twin. And it's so interesting because when I was born, I was crying, and so the doctor said, "Yeah, that second one right there, that twin, she got some lungs on her," and because I would just cry, and when my sister and I were, of course, babies or whatnot, I just remember hearing stories from, family members and like my mother and my father, and they'd be like, "Yeah, Cole, like you cry all the time," and I'm like, okay. And they said my sister would just be looking at me like, is somebody going to make her stop? But as I have matured in Christ and have learned more about the gifting that God has bestowed upon me, I realize that He has given me His heart. So it's not that I'm so overly emotional, or whatever. It's just that God has given me His love in my heart for His people. And I do not take that lightly. And when it comes specifically, to our babies, the children, my heart just really, really, I have such compassion for them and their well-being. And, I only have 3 daughters. I have a host of nieces and nephews, but I have a goddaughter, but I also have a host of, children that are not mine. And I have, other daughters that say, "Hey, Mom Nicole," they call me Mom Nicole, or they'll call me Auntie Nicole, whatever the case may be. But that it lets me know that they're watching me and they're observing, but that they see the light that's on the inside. And I even had one student at one of the schools that I was teaching at, and she asked me, she said, you're my school mom." And I was like, wow, I felt honored, that here this child didn't even know me. I'm new coming into school, coming on the scene, and just by a few weeks, she felt that comfortable to just say, "Hey, you're my school mom. Is that okay that I call you mom, at school?" And I'm like, "Sure. If that makes you feel comfortable, what have you. I'll never replace your mother, but yes, just to give that understanding." And I believe that, again, as you mentioned, with having compassion, it allows our young people to thrive. It gives them life. It boosts their energy. It gives them excitement. It gives them joy. It gives them that confidence to know that someone has my back. Whatever it is that I do wrong, whether I've done it wrong or not, whether it's my fault or not, there is someone that will advocate for me, that will take out the time to listen to what I have to say, to help me to find out why I am responding or reacting the way that I am, so that I can be better. And they don't even know that. But it just takes us as an adult, oh my goodness, to be mindful and to pay attention and to hone in on those youth, those children that are crying out, are acting out. And when we do that, oh my gosh, beyond the sky's limit. Beyond the sky's limit. Go ahead, Robert. I know you got something to say. You said, come on.
It's really funny because I know typically you're talking about the business side of things. And today's dialogue, though it is very open, I can't help but try to see things in a business mindset as well as the spiritual mindset as you're presenting. As we are trying to grow and develop whatever business or opportunities that we have before us, it is important to remember that somewhere along the way, somebody extended an olive branch. It might not have been a big olive branch. It might have not been the cash flow to help the business start. It might not have been anything that we can exactly put our finger on. But that person who simply whispered in your ear, "You're good enough to do it. Go for it." Those are the folks that we most often forget that we truly need to remember, and that we truly need to keep by our side just to say thank you as we continue to have success. That compassion for students, that compassion for people who have businesses that are getting started, wow. I understand you might be struggling. I don't have the finances to help you, but guess what? I have a spot for you to come on and talk about your business. I have a space for you to show up and, talk about how you're doing what you're doing. I'm doing this seminar over here, and we're talking about money, but we can tie in your clothing line to how that's going to work with money, and maybe get you a few clients. Those are the things that, as we continue to show passion and pour love on people, that will forever impart an appreciation and respect for who and what we are. As business owners, as leaders, as members of some part of corporate America, we all of a sudden make the company look good. Again, it's not about you. You're a representation of whatever corporation you're working for at the moment. You get up and you go to work in the morning and you go work for a Bank A. When you leave out of Bank A and your friends and family members know who you are, when one of the clients walking down the street recognize a hamburger that you're handing out, just to say, I see somebody who don't have what I have, let me gently hand this hamburger to this person who clearly is in need. Somebody riding down the street say, "Oh, that's my guy from Bank A." All of a sudden, Bank A looks good because your work is amazing from your heart. And your heart then becomes a part of the corporation. And when the corporation loses you, that corporation loses a face that many people respected. And wherever you go, your respect follows. It allows you the opportunity to have a voice with those who are coming behind you as you're blazing that trail. And as you're blazing that trail, leave it so that it's open wide enough that they have a space to go in and marvel at and say, "You know what, I see where improvement is needed, but for right now, I can get my little Chevette through this tunnel." Because everybody got to start somewhere, and I'm a firm believer that at this point, anybody that know how to start with a Chevette, they could end up with a Maserati, and it's all right. And that's just simply appreciating and loving and being compassionate for those who are coming behind us, whether it's in corporate or education or wherever. So I appreciate you just talking about loving on the babies, because those very same young people that we impress today will someday grow up to be leaders that we need to follow tomorrow. And I appreciate you for it. Thank you for continuing to talk about it.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that information with us. Just to piggyback on what you just said too, again, the young people, they are the future, because we are the ages that we are. I don't know how old everybody is, but I'm in my 40s, and, all those who are coming after us, we need to make sure, again, that we are positive examples and that we are teaching them, that we are mentoring them. We need to make sure that they understand finances. We need to make sure that they understand how the economy works. So this way, when we are senior citizens, seasoned with salt, that, we know that we'll be taken care of, because those things have been put in place, because we've instilled those positive, help to develop those positive attributes within them. So this way they can go forth, they can take the torch, from out of our hands. And they can run that race, you know what I'm saying, knowing that as we were trailblazers in our profession, in our mentoring, in our coaching, in the lives of so many, that as they saw us, they'll be able to do the same thing and better. Because we don't, you know, I mean, we are the bomb at what we do. I mean, you know, we walk in confidence. We walk with boldness. We know, yes, I am that deal. You know, I blaze this trail, you know, but I need you to come after me, and I need you to go through that mountain. I need you to go through that forest. I need you to go through what you need to go through, so this way you can pave the way for those who are behind you, and that you can pull them up. But that pathway will be clear. You know, that pathway will be clear. And so if we stay in the mindset of, yes, having hearts of compassion, being loving, and genuinely care, it bothers me when people say they don't care. And when I hear people say, I don't care, I watch their demeanor. I watch their countenance. I watch what they do. I listen to what they say. And sometimes people have said, I don't care, so much that they have spoken and they actually do not care. And it shows in just about everything that they do. And as I have observed that, I'm like, you know, we need to use another word. Like, okay, you may not be concerned about that. You know, that may not be your main focus currently at the moment, or it may not be ever. But let's not say I don't care, because saying I don't care is saying that you don't care. And that's so vast, you know. So we need to make sure that, again, we are watching our words, and that we are building up and not tearing down. And yes, it goes across all spectrums, whether we're in education, whether we have mentoring programs, or, you know, different organizations and community organizations that we are a part of, whether we're in corporate America, whether we are in production, whatever the field is, just make sure that we are displaying what we want them to do, so that when we are seasoned with so much salt, you know, we won't be, the I don't care won't show on us who are older. I believe that makes sense. Go ahead.
As you were just speaking, what came to me is there's strength in cutting the path. And we have to remember that those who come behind us won't do it the same way that we did it, because we cut the path. So there's so much that they don't have to do that we had to endure, that created our passion and our drive and our love. And it is our responsibility that as we are cutting the path, that we leave little trinkets for them to look at. And it may not mean nothing to them in the moment that they're looking at them. But when we become seasoned, and it's their turn to start cutting the next portion of the path, they'll start to look back and say, that's what those trinkets were. Now I need to go back and ask questions of that seasoned person. What did this trinket mean? When this happened, what was that? Where did this come from? You did all of those things? Because youth today don't realize the fight that it took, as they are starting to see the fight that it's going to take for change to come about. I know it's not exactly topic, but the fights for social justice and civil rights in the 50s, 60s, and 70s looks a lot like the fight today, but it took those who got to walk that path already to come to a point to where they're like, oh, we good, we got it made. Hey, look, we got all this space has been cut down, we can dance. The youth today has come to where that path stopped being cut. They're like, hey, we're trying to march forward. We want more. Y'all told us y'all want us to stand on y'all's shoulders. Y'all supposed to be giants. But now we got to go cut. And so now you're watching the youth flex a muscle that hasn't been seen or that has been absent, and it's just been sprinkled in for the last 40, 50 years. Now that the youth is on that same journey, you're going to have a lot more people going back to their parents saying, what did you do to make a change? And a lot of parents are going to sit there and say, a change? What do you mean? And then they're going to realize that their parents unknowingly were a part of the problem and not the solution. But because the parents allowed the children to come up in a way of being respectful and open to others, they've set their children up at the plate with bases fully loaded and no outs. And they don't miss too many of them fastballs that come right down the middle of the plate. And I can promise you the pitcher's going to slip up by that third pitch. And he's going to throw a fastball right down the center of the plate. And it's going out the park. And I am so thankful that the leadership, though it is 50, 60 years ago, was such an impactful leadership that the trinkets that they left behind, our youth got to pick up and ask questions along the way. And now they're all looking for their axe to start cutting down more trees, to clear a path that leaders 40, 50, 60 years ago dreamed about. And everybody in between has talked about that dream, but very few have pushed to achieve it. And that is what I hear as you talk about the growth of the students and the clearing of the path. Because when you sit there and you're looking at, let's call it a forest, and you need a road, it's cool that you start off with a Chevette. You might be able to drive through a little bit and not have to cut down every tree. But as you get seasoned and life gets to go, you start to gain a little weight, you eat a little better. Even if you're in good shape, you know, you get on a little solid muscle. So you're a little bit bigger, and you can't get around all the same trees that you got around in your Chevette. And now, as you are reaching that real seasoned level, where you're done doing all the hard physical work, now you're a Maserati. Now you're a Maybach. And you don't want to touch nothing and get too dirty. Not that you don't know how to, but you've done your time and it's time for somebody else to. But until then, you're going to do donuts in the cleared out area because of all the work you've done. And I'm excited because the youth today is saying we need more road because there's too much more ahead of us. You cleared out in this 40-acre lot. You cleared out 13.5 acres. That was amazing. However, we still got another 27 to go. So we're going to go ahead and knock out that 27. Then we're going to go back and clean up the stuff that you missed because those roots are still there. You cut it down and you had it nice and clear for us to get here. But now we're going to go back and smooth it out by taking out the roots. And so I love the ideal of being able to be compassionate enough to work with you and you with me. You being black, them being white, them being Native American, them being Asian, Pacific Islanders, Hispanic, all linked arms, walking and cutting down trees together, changing the entire system, galvanizing from the inside, not the outside, so that it's not all of this rioting and looting that everybody is so concerned about that is a setup, but about the peaceful protests, about the power of the voice, the strength of the vote and your ability to make a change even when you didn't think you had it. Thank you.
That was beautiful. That was so beautiful. 'Cause that was on my mind about civil rights and how, you know, the path that they set for us, and we were able to somewhat just kind of parlay, you know, even coming after our parents, you know. So that was beautiful and very well said. I believe that that is exactly where we are, you know. And as you mentioned, the young people that are coming, I mean, I'll say they're right here, you know. They're right here where we are. Again, everybody is at the same place right now, you know. We're on the same playing field. And it's just a matter of what is it that you're going to do? What are we going to do in this moment during this time where we can now speak up? We can stand up, you know, we can be passionate about those things that concern us and the world, period. And I was listening to, on Sunday, I was watching a pastor online, and one of the words that he used, it stuck out so much. And, you know, I've just really been pondering on that word, but he said, what do you value? It is the value that you place on things that matters. Those are the things that you believe in. Those are the things that are important to you. Those are the things that you hold so dear to you, so near and dear, oh my goodness, to your heart. What is it that you value? Are we going to, you know, just sit around and just be me, I, it's all about me and it's all just about my, or are we going to get down in the trenches and, like you said, pull up those roots, you know, because we have to dig so deep, you know. Yes, things have been masked, if you will, you know, and, you know, cut down looking all beautiful and all that. But deep down, that root, those roots that are on the inside is still what's causing the pain. It's still what's causing the hurt. It's still what's causing the attitude. And, you know, if your attitude is not right, you can't reach the altitude that you need to get to in order to overcome all the things that you've experienced, but it causes you to succumb to them, if you will. So we have to value those things that are important, that are going to catapult us to higher levels, that are going to take us to new dimensions, you know what I'm saying, spiritually and in the natural, so that we can overcome all of these atrocities and things that has been going on for all this time. You know? Go ahead. Oh.
You talked about the overcoming of things over time. There's an old saying that history will repeat itself. And for anybody who is 35 and older, you've seen some trends from when you were 7, 8 years old to now that have died and been reborn. They might have been reborn with a few new colors to them, maybe a slightly different shape, but the same concept. When you look at games and you look at sports, it's difficult to sit there and say, oh, we're going to improve basketball, or we're going to improve football, or whatever the sport is. And the improvements are made by the rules. As we are looking to work and change the rules to make it a better, safer, cleaner game for everybody, it is important that we make it a safer, better, cleaner game for everybody, not just those who are making the decisions and the money. Because at the end of the day, it's not the money that is going to save you. It's the number of people that you have touched in their heart that's going to save you. You're going to look to everybody that you've been close to and look for support from. And they're all going to be faded away. They're going to become distant. But that one person you forgot you helped, and all you did was loan them $1, and it wasn't even a loan, you gifted them $1 at the grocery store because they were $1 short for their order. And it was the last of what they had for their family. And time has gone by. But that was the last meal purchase that they had to struggle with. And from that moment forward, that $1 that you gifted them, for whatever reason, became a catapult of hope to them, to let them know that whatever they put their mind to, the struggle may come to this close of looking like a disaster. But there's always somebody in your corner when you least expect it. You might not even know the person.
That was good. Well said. I'm over here like, preach! No. Oh, goodness. But yes, 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 yes. This, again, there was no, well, this was the topic for today, even though it was not necessarily a thoroughly planned out, but, I strongly believe that there's so much that's on the inside of each and every one of us. And, we care about those things that we're passionate about. And I believe that this particular topic is something that many people care about. I know that there are some of you, who have not spoken today, but who also have mentoring programs, who work with our youth or have the desire to do so. And you all are exceptional leaders. And so, I want to leave you all with this. It doesn't matter necessarily at what point you are in, because a lot of people, they want to, I gotta wait. I can't do that right now because I have to make sure that this over here is in place first. Yeah, I know I should be doing this, but I can't because I gotta go over here. The distractions and the excuses. But if we take our thoughts off of ourselves and we truly consider the assignments that we have and the people who are assigned to us, whether young or old, we can't make any excuses anymore. It's time out for the excuses. People say, I want to do things in order. Well, yes, you want to do things in order, but I know I mentioned a few days ago, somebody's order may be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but your order may be Z, Y, R, T, A, and that's your order. So, my goodness. You can't wait any longer, because this is the season and this is the hour for us leaders to stand up and not only just get in position, but actually get to working. If there's something that you started years ago, or you've been waiting for that right partner to come along, listen, I can tell you about partners, okay? Because I've prayed for teammates and, you know, team members and all that, but at the end of the day, I'm the one that's still standing. Oh my goodness, because your heart has to be pure to go forth and do that which God is calling you to do in the earth during this hour. And if you don't have the right people in your life, or in who see the vision, who see the mission, who has a heart of compassion and love like you, that's okay. Because you go forth and do the work, because 10 times out of 10, you're the one who was called to do the work anyway. Again, being a trailblazer, you know, if it's something that's on your heart and you know that it's something that you should be doing, do it. I know we get tired, you know, we work a job and, you know, we desire so much to do our passion, working with other people, volunteering, you know, whatever the case may be. But I dare you, I dare you to muster up some energy on the inside of you, my goodness, and just take that step, just take the first step. And just watch how you'll be propelled into whatever it is you're supposed to do. And to be quite honest with you, when you're doing those things, or that which is so passionate, that you're passionate about, and that thing that you value so much, it's going to give you the strength and the energy that you need in order to accomplish it. You just have to set your mind to it and actually take the step. My goodness. And when you do that, I declare and I decree that beyond the sky's limit is what you can have. Beyond the sky, out of the box thinking, out of the box. Oh my God, it's gonna. People, I hear the expression. It's gonna blow your socks off. You know, I don't know if I want my socks to be knocked off, but you know, you know, I want a wow moment. You know, for y'all know how excited I can get. I want those moments on like a million. You know, so what do you value? That's your assignment. What is it that you value? Look up the word value and just and go forth. Go forth. Go forth. Robert, do you have anything that you would like to share?
You spoke on value. And again, I take it back to what I know your show to be about, and that's leadership. As a leader, your value will show in those in which you are leading, whether it's your department, whether it's your coworker, your teammate, even your competition. Your value will show. And when your value shows and it's valuable to others, they will pay for it. So don't worry about Walmart versus Kmart, or Meijer versus, I don't even know anybody else like Meijer. We're in the Midwest and that's all we have. But when you have a Costco and a Sam's Club, you can't worry about what they're doing over there. You worry about what you're doing and the value that you bring. And when your value is filled with more genuine love, when your value is filled with more compassion, people will be willing to pay more for your product, whatever that may be. And I thank you for the word value. And I will be doing that homework. Excuse me. I will be doing that homework to figure out what it is that I genuinely value. I have a great idea on who I am. But when I sit here and think about it to myself right now, I cannot tell you what I genuinely value. And so I thank you for that assignment. I thank you for your conference on today, and I thank you for allowing me to partake. And I look forward to seeing you again on the next show.
All right. Thank you for sharing that with us. So you all, what do you value? Let that be your what you ponder on, what you chew on, and really do some self-reflection. So this way, you can go forward, because a lot of you have begun, but you kind of stopped along the way. But go forth. Go forth. The way is the time is now. So I thank each and every one of you for joining on today. I'm so excited, and I love the interaction. I thrive off of the interaction, And so next week, Wednesday, will be our 10th and final session on this 10-part series on how to become an effective leader. And then we're going to go into a whole new topic, and I'm really excited about it, you guys. I'm not going to spill the beans or spill the tea, but I, just look forward to you all participating and joining the call, and even sharing this information with those who can benefit from it. Because again, I did one segment on how to hear your voice, or how to have your voice heard in the midst of all the noise, and this is an opportunity, and I provide a platform. If you listen to my opening, I always say that we discuss topics that will inspire, empower, and promote. And that word promote is key, because I'm not the only person who has a business or has, a hobby or a passion. And so I'm all about promoting others and what it is that you are doing. And this platform gives you that opportunity to be able to do so. So if you would like to share your ideas, or not even your ideas, but what you're doing, so this way it can have more people to become a part of what you're doing, your products, your services. Let's do it. Let's share it. This is an opportunity. Let's build up the communities. Let's build up one another, so that we can be catapulted to the next level in our lives. So again, I thank you. And I love each and every one of you. You all know that I do hear my heart, and I look forward to seeing you all on next Wednesday on Success in Motion. You have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.